You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we hang out and talk about everything from hammocks and hammock camping to the group hangs from around the country. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hammock Hangers Podcast. I am your host, Paul Collins, or also known as Skunkape. I have got my co-host, AJ Glenn, or also known as Phoenix here.
How's it going, everybody?
And our guest this week, this is a little bio about her. Our guest this week started camping as a 40-year-old, and 2 years later was camping at least one night a month, and is currently on year number 8, and now is exclusively in hammocks. She camps with her rescue cats, Kisma and Kresha, and runs a Facebook group called Camping and Hiking with Your Cat. She also leads the meetup group Milwaukee Area Hiking, Biking, Paddling Plus. She also organizes non-commercial trips like the BACONFEST, and her goal is to camp in every Wisconsin state park and collect a patch to wear on her red wool cape. So let's welcome our guest this week, Karla with a K.
Hello.
How you doing, Karla?
I'm awesome. How are you guys?
Not too bad.
Just peachy.
Peachy.
That's a
Just
southern
peachy.
thing. So
I'm in Wisconsin, so I'm cheesy.
You're cheesy, huh?
I'm cheesy.
So, in your bio, like I just got done reading, you said that you started camping as a 40-year-old. What got you into camping, and why at 40 and not before?
I grew up in a small town in Michigan. We had one stoplight, and my dad was a pastor, so we never had weekends off. You know, he was working every weekend, so we never went camping. But we had a tent in the backyard, one of those old canvas tents.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was nothing for me to invite whatever girlfriend over, and we would just bring our sleeping bags and be in the tent. But I never learned how to like cook over a fire. We never went to any parks or went camping. I do remember in the Girl Scouts, we were pulled out of our tent because of thunderstorms. I don't remember if I still got that patch or not. So I was not a camper as a kid. And I remember when I moved to Milwaukee, I was like, I am such a city girl. I love this. I can get a house and it's just going to take up every square inch. I'm not going to have any lawn. And now since camping, I'm like, I want to be up in the woods and I want to have so many trees. Like my priorities have so like 180'd.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started because of my friend, Jessica.
Okay.
Jessica. Wow. Looking back, she was pretty methodical with me. She started me off with some local, oh, you want to go for a hike? You want to go around the block? And then let's check out this city park. And then, hey, let's drive an hour and let's go hike here. And then we were driving 2 hours to hike. And then she said, do you want to camp overnight? I've got a tent. And I'm like, okay, I can endure something for a night. She was brilliant. She took me up to Door County, which is this nice posh county up north. It doesn't even have any McDonald's. It's just got wineries and parks. And we slept in the tent, but then during the day we went shopping and we ate at restaurants. I mean, to anybody else, they'd consider it glamping. Right. But man, for like tiptoeing me into camping, I was like, this is great. This is awesome. I love this. And, and that turned into, let's try 2 nights and let's try a weekend over here. And that's how I got started. And that's why it happened when I was 40 and not before.
Yeah. I love the idea of just going camping and then like during the day, like doing like wine tours. That sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, that it is getting a little tipsy doing some day drinking. It's awfully nice. And Jessica and I still go out. She had a goal, still has the goal to visit all the Wisconsin state parks. And I am like, oh yeah, dude, I want to do that too. So I know we have a huge Google spreadsheet of what parks has she gone to, what parks have I gone to, and when we plan where we're going the next year, we really, which park haven't we both gone to?
Okay.
And so we're going to Merrick State Park. I didn't even know there was a Merrick State Park in Wisconsin, but we're going there next month. I'm excited.
How many state parks are there in Wisconsin?
A lot, like 50 or something.
How many have you hit so far?
38.
Okay.
I've still got a ways to go, but if there's camping at the park, then I say not just going there, like I have to camp there. So
Gotcha.
I've been to a lot of them, but I got to go back and I got to camp.
Okay.
So do a lot of the state parks, they have the campground facilities there?
Yeah. Since I really only have experience in Wisconsin, I have very limited experience camping outside of the state. I love the reservation system and how it works. The more I talk to DNR and reps and park rangers, they love their job so much. Much like teachers, they love the job but don't get paid enough. And I want to do anything I can to help support the parks.
That's awesome. Yeah, we do a lot of state parks, and when we do our traveling, which we do quite a bit, our first preference are state and national parks. And there's definitely some states that do their national parks a lot better than the other. One thing that I will say about the state of Georgia is their state parks are always very well maintained and very, they're probably some of the best state parks that we've camped at across the country. So, but we have not been, Wisconsin is not a state that we've been to. So when we do our big trip up there, I'll have to give you a holler. My wife, she's done a lot of traveling, and that's usually what we do during the summer. But she hasn't been to, it's either Minnesota or Michigan, one or the other. We can't remember exactly which one it was, but she's never been to that state. So we've talked about in the next few years having kind of a northern trek and doing like Boundary Waters and things like that up that way. So I'll definitely give you
I was born in Minnesota. I grew up in Michigan, and now I live in Wisconsin. So I am an upper Midwest lady, and I got friends who have troubles with the M of Minnesota and the M of Michigan. And I'm like, Boundary Waters is in Minnesota, and Michigan has that upper peninsula and the lower peninsula. So if you can help to remind, but they're on both sides of Wisconsin. So if you can kind of at least remember that general area of the Great Lakes, you can't get too lost.
Gotcha. So how did you discover hammocks and start going that route versus the tent? I know you said you started out with tents.
Yeah. And Jessica had me tenting, and I had another mutual friend who all of a sudden stopped being my friend, which I think is really weird as an adult to all of a sudden like not have a friend. And so I'm like, fine, I'll go find other friends. And I found meetup.com. Are you guys familiar with meetup.com, the website?
A little bit. I've never used it though.
So meetup.com, the way I explain it is, imagine like how a dating site works, but instead of filling out a profile to meet like a potential mate, you fill out a profile to make a friend. So you fill out your profile and say you like camping, and you like bowling, and you like reading books. And Meetup will say, hey, you live here, and there are groups of book readers on Tuesdays and camping people, and then there's also like a bowling league. And you could choose to join that group. Some groups charge money, some are free, some are, $5-10 a year. And then you join that group, and like the Meetup group that I now run, we have all sorts of different events, and you can choose to go to that hiking event. You can choose to go to that camping event or not. So I joined a Meetup group, and it's so funny, my hammock story, because I joined the Meetup group, and there was a guy called Nick Gordon. Nick Gordon runs Now Outdoors, but at the time that I met him, he was a park naturalist for Lakeshore State Park, which is an urban state park in Milwaukee. It's the first and only urban state park in the state. And he said that he was going to have a bonfire by Lake Michigan. I'm like, that sounds epic. And I looked up the rules, and you can't have bonfires on the beach. But like, so I wrote to this guy. I'm like, I don't think you can do that. Well, I didn't know he was like a park ranger and had permission.
Gotcha.
So now we joke about it because I'm good friends with the guy still. And he would host these bonfires. And before the bonfires, he would teach people things like, I learned how to start a fire without a match, how to open a canned good without having an opener. I still look at my notes on backpacking, and I have backpacks are measured by liters. A big backpack is 50 liters or more. Imagine 25 2-liters in your backpack. That's heavy. I mean, these are my initial like notes because I knew nothing about backpacking. So this guy, Nick in the Woods, huge hammock camper.
Okay.
And he was like, I got to get you into a hammock. You're going to love it. I'm like, you crazy. I'm not doing that. That's weird. And then he invited me to winter camping, and other people were hammocking. And I met Cat Dog and Franklin, and they invited me to my first hang. And I was going to tent it because I knew that it was going to be cold and I could be warm in a tent. I had done winter tenting. But then this guy who organized the hang Gooby, he's like, well, what if I put a hammock up right next to your tent? And if you don't like it, you go in the tent. I wanted to find a reason to say no, but I couldn't, and I had to say yes. And so I was like, okay, my saving grace, I can go to the tent. And Cat Dog ended up leaving her hammock and going in the tent, and I had no other place to go. I had to stay in that hammock. And I remember my butt was so cold. It got down to 19 degrees that night. There was a sleet storm. And I was like texting Cat Dog in the tent, I'm so cold. And so she texted all the men who were still out by the fire. And so I had these two guys who came, and were you guys part of the Costco Underquilt Club? Were you part of that?
Yeah, I have made a couple.
So these two guys, I didn't know who in the dark they were. It turned out it was Gooby and this guy called Banana Hammock. And they're like, do we have permission to touch your butt? Because we're going to put this underquilt like right under you. So I'm laying in the hammock. I'm like, will it make me warm? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, go for it. So they smushed the underquilt underneath me. And I was like, nice to meet you, gentlemen. And I fell asleep. I woke up to pee at 5 a.m. I swore when I woke up, I was at home in my Tempur-Pedic adjustable bed under my electric blanket. And I was like, oh, damn. I'm going to have to call Nick of the Woods and tell him that I liked hammocking. I still remember eating crow so bad on that phone call. He was like, I told you so. And I'm like, yes, you did. Yes, you did. And so the next month I bought a hammock from Intimidator. He's on hammock forums. And I got a basic hammock. I got, what else I get? I got a stuff sack. What are the connector ropes at the end? What are those called? Continuous loops. And I got a ridgeline organizer. And I said, okay, so I want to understand hammocks. So I'm going to teach myself to make all this stuff, and then I'll just sell what I bought. So I learned splicing. And I was watching like any YouTube videos, like, okay, am steel rope, it will make your fingers red. And I taught myself to sew, which my mother as a home ec teacher thought that was pretty groovy. I was finally following in her footsteps. I'm like, Mom, what do I do? This material's thin. She's like, use a piece of paper under it. Okay, that's my trick. So I made my own hammock, and that purple hammock is the same hammock that I use 8 years later. I love it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I love it. So yeah, that's how I got into hammock camping.
Awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
so why, I guess, originally, what made you very apprehensive about trying hammocks versus over a tent? Was it just a familiarity with the tent, or?
Privacy.
Okay.
And animals, I think, were like my two biggest fears.
Now,
yeah. And then not knowing what I didn't know, because I just saw a bunch of people with a lot of stuff, and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of complicated.
Gotcha. Now, you said animals. Just what is? I'm trying to think of even how to ask this. I guess, what made you feel that there was a difference between dealing with animals in a tent than dealing with animals in a hammock?
Well, in a tent, I was going to have Jessica or someone else, and maybe I put them closer to the door than me. So, when the bear busts in, but in a hammock, I mean, it's just me.
So, would the bear just come in through the door?
Yeah, just rip through the door like Kool-Aid Man, like, oh yeah.
I've just always wondered that, because I hear that so much, from people in tents. They're like, oh, I'm not going to, do a hammock because that's like, you're a bear burrito, and I constantly, wonder how a hammock is any more susceptible to a bear getting you than a tent. They're essentially the same material.
No, I really had I had the fear of like raccoons coming underneath me, and I would feel them under my butt.
Okay.
And honestly, I probably sometimes still have that fear about like, what would I do if I felt something like underneath me? I'm like, I don't think I would do a darn thing. I would freeze.
I mean,
sleep with a knife.
Like, what can you do? I've never had raccoons under me, but I've had an armadillo crawl under me. So that was intriguing.
Did you felt it?
Yeah. And I've had a wild hog. Now, granted, I completely slept through this, but rut literally an area around the footprint of my tarp. So luckily I did sleep through that, because I don't know if I would have remained calm through that. But
yeah, you need to put a notification for any new hammockers to like skip this part, because it'll freak them out.
Well, I mean, see, I don't know. I mean, back whenever I was using a tent years ago, I remember out camping one night. I was camping by myself, and there was a pack of coyotes, and there was one of them that was probably about maybe 8-10 feet away from my hammock, or from my tent. And he let out a howl, and it sounded like an air raid siren whenever he was doing it. That's what I put in my dream anyhow. But whenever he got done howling, I just hollered out to him, and he ran off. And then in my hammock one night, it wasn't really an animal, but I know what my reflexes were to it. I had set up my hammock, and it was real windy, and the wind had jerked one of the stakes out, so the corner of my tarp was just flapping, and it was cold. I didn't feel like getting out of my hammock to restake it or anything, especially with as windy as it was. So I just reached out and I grabbed a hold of the guy line, and I tied my shoe around it, and I threw the shoe out to the side, hoping that would hold it down. And about the time I fell asleep, the wind picked up, and it pulled up on that tarp, and that shoe came up, and it smacked underneath my hammock. And with me being half asleep, I thought that it was a bear going up into my hammock. So as soon as I felt it, I just turned and I punched the bottom of my hammock and yelled out to get rid of the bear. And then I felt stupid whenever I realized that it was just my shoe. But at least I knew what my reflex to do was,
The only time I've had an animal like underneath me, I was really... Man, I was so lucky. I held a hang at my hometown of Hale. So it was the Hale Yes Hang. and it was in the old campground. There was a Lutheran camp, and I used to work as a kitchen cat there, and it was an abandoned campground. So when we came in, I mean, animals had free reign of the place. And I was kind of waking up in the morning, and I thought I heard what was like this duck or like a pig, like this kind of snorting sound. And I was like, there's certainly not pigs. That wouldn't be a duck. And then thankfully I saw it waddling off. Black, white, Mr. Skunk.
Oh,
wow.
Dang, I'm so glad I was half asleep while he was right there, because that would have been a really smelly hang.
Oh, that would have been bad. That would have been real bad. Oh, God, I couldn't even imagine waking up and stepping out.
The hammock that you made that you're still using?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm curious. What type of fabric and stuff were you using for that hammock?
Oh, Hyper D 1.6 nylon in purple. I know my tarp is purple haze, but I think the fabric might be purple. I was just kind of like, I thought everything purple was really cool back 8 years ago. So I started doing everything in purple.
Okay. So you also said, let's see here. Let's talk about camping with your cats. How does that work? I'd be scared to death that, because I did watch some of your videos and all that stuff, and you actually have some of your, even your picture that you sent me for the artwork, your cat is in the hammock with you. Do you not worry about the claws or anything?
Not when you take them. I'm one of these people where PETA, I'm sure, will have a field day with me, but so yeah, I don't worry about the claws at all. But I do know that, especially when I take my cats outside, they are always secured to me. They're on a leash. They're not free range. Like, they are with me. I have to protect them. Like, I know that responsibility and take it very seriously. Right.
I gotcha. So do they normally go camping with you every time you go, or?
No, I freaking need a break from them sometimes. It's like, oh, I am leaving you at home. It's so weird because I don't have kids. And so it was very hard for me to relate when parents were like, I never thought I'd be, a soccer mom or dad, but the kid really wanted to do it. So now I got drug into it. And when I found out my cat really liked being outside, and then my cat liked going on walks. And then I was like, I wonder if my cat would like camping. The first time I was in my car in the garage camping overnight, and the next day I told my upstairs neighbor Jane, I was like, dang it, he liked it. Now I'm going to actually have to go do it. Like,
now, is that both of your cats that like it, or just one of them, or?
Well, I just got a second cat last fall. Okay. I've never had two cats before. And I had to get her accustomed to the second cat, because we went up to the winter camping symposium. It's like a 6-hour drive for me up to northern Minnesota. And so I actually had an old Uber, 10-person tent. And I took my hammock stand. I have an Eno hammock stand at Nomad that I put inside there. And so I was hanging inside the tent, and my cats had free range in the tent.
Okay, yeah, I saw that video actually of you showing that setup and everything. That was pretty neat. That was a huge tent.
Yes.
So now, what is this? The red wool cape that you were talking about?
All these guys up here in Wisconsin, they all have those wool anoraks that they pull over, and I'm like, I want one. I want to be cool like everybody else. And my mom is a huge thrifter. I'm a big thrifter. I was taught to be this very frugal German Lutheran. So I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, you got to find me some wool blankets. I got to make an anorak so I can be cool like everybody else. And she was up in Oscoda, Michigan, went to this estate sale and found this wool cape. It's like this poncho, but it's got buttons down the front. And so they brought it down and were able to give it to the people. And I picked it up in Michigan when I went to a hang, and this guy saw it there, and he's like, this label says Valentino. this is vintage. I just looked up on Google. This is worth $3,000. And I'm like, no, it is not. This is a $4 cape that my mom got at the estate sale in Skunkape, Michigan. So when I brought it home, my upstairs neighbor, she knew these people out in California who did like vintage auctions, and I took some pictures, and he's like, tell me more about the label, because the label was hand sewn on. So the label came from somewhere else. So I ended up asking my mom where this label came from. And she said, well, I knew having 100% wool was important to you and it was falling off. So I hand stitched it on. So that's the original label. So the guy in California said, I might be able to get a couple grand for it, but by the time you pay my commission and send it out to California, he's like, it's better for you just to enjoy it. So I camp out in the woods with the vintage Valentino red cape.
I put patches on it.
100% wool.
And then you put your patches on it.
I put my patches on it.
There you go. There you go.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
I'm fancy.
So tell us about so you went to this hang, you got addicted to hammock camping, even though that you were initially kind of skeptical about it. So where did you kind of go from there? Did you just kind of grow from that group, or what other avenues did you find before you kind of transitioned into running BACONFEST?
There is on hammock forums. I quickly got introduced to hammock forums, and there was a challenge on there, the 12 nights a year challenge.
Oh yeah.
And I had
read, yeah.
Yeah. So I had done other types of camping, leading, like I slept in a Quincy, and I had been in a cabin with 10 people, and I had done winter tenting. And so by the time I hit a hammock, I was like, I've got plans for more than half the year. I'll just finish out this year, which meant I had to contact the rest of the people who I met at the hang and yo, what are we doing for October? We should have a Packers Bear hang. Let's get the people from Chicago up and let's eat appetizers all weekend. How does that sound? They're like, Heartburn City, but yeah, let's do it. So, so there was just a lot of eager people interested to do things. And we were on the campfire. We're like, man, what'd be good? Bacon goes with breakfast and lunch and dinner, and you could eat bacon with every meal. And I went, done, BACONFEST, doing it. That was really how it started. And my upstairs neighbor, man, I really need to give shout outs to Jane. She passed away 2 years ago, very suddenly from cancer. Found out she had cancer on Monday, died on a Thursday. I mean, she was just in and out.
Oh, wow.
I know, but we had always said, when we want to die, we want to go and then be done, So she was the one who really helped me figure out how to run BACONFEST, how to make it a thing, and even coming up with the logo, and helping me do a website. I mean, this is all Jane. So BACONFEST is unlike any other hammock hang. It's got to be in the country. Now, I haven't been to all of them, Lobster Fest. I don't know how they do it, but certainly they're not doing it like how I do it. And some people like Karla, it's just way too damn organized. I can't. But there's a method to my madness, and I'll tell you about it. So when you sign up for BACONFEST, we do every meal group meal. Okay. You will be assigned to participate in one of the group meals. And I have now meal captains who are people who help me because I can't do it all. And they will contact you. And the 4 or 5 of you will put together that meal for everybody. Okay. So that's one thing that's really different. So I ask you, what meal do you want to be a part of? So on Friday night, because everyone's trying to get there after work, it's host choice. So I cook dinner on Friday night. And I find a recipe and I somehow add bacon in. So this year, I'm making this bacon beef bolognese ragu on top of spaghetti with this bacon garlic bread. That's what we're with. I'm thinking of a little salad on the side. That's Friday night. So you don't have to worry about trying to get there and make your meal or eat your food. You just come and show up. and you will be fed. And then Saturday, we always have bacon and eggs. Easy. Somebody brings fruit, round it out. Saturday lunch, always BLTs. And I'm telling you, that is the best BLT I eat all freaking year. It is.
Food's always better when you're out camping, isn't it?
It's so good. And then, we have some sort of like, the year someone brought broccoli slaw salad. That was awesome. Saturday night, we have a competition, and I'll tell you about that. Sunday, we always finish it off with pancakes. And my friend Jessica, the one who got me started with camping, she introduced Canadian bacon because we're a little baconed out by Sunday morning. So we do pancakes with Canadian bacon. It still counts. But really, the like creme de la creme is the competition that we have Saturday night. It's called Bacon Bite Night. And you can choose to participate and bring a bite that's savory or sweet. And say, like, right now, I've got 17 people signed up. I max out at 25. That's another thing about BaconFest. It will never grow to be a big hang. It will, because I go to camp at state parks. They only allow 20 to 25 people. Plus, you get more food than that at Bacon Bite Night, and it's too much to eat because you come and you bring a bite of your dish for every single person. Okay. So if we've got 20 people, you're eating 20 bites, and 20 bites may not sound like a lot, but it ends up being a lot of food, and it's not too much, but it ends up always being enough. And then we vote. We have like winners. And so I've got a little certificate that says best savory bite, best sweet bite. And in honor of my upstairs neighbor, Jane, we now have an honorable mention, the Jane Scaff Award. And so that goes to another dish that gets honored. And I always get to then talk about her. Because truly there wouldn't be a Bacon Fest without her. And it's just fun. I think people really, I have several people who've contacted me already. They've been practicing their bacon dishes because they want to win. They want to win that award. I give a little like gift bag that always has like some sort of bacon-y theme and some sort of camping thing. It's just little things, but man, they want the title. They want the title so badly.
I'll tell you what. When AJ and I finally make it up there to one of the Bacon Fest, I will bring. I'll have to figure out how I can make it and bring it up because it'd be in one of the suites. But I know the people can't see this, but I will make a maple bacon smoked cheesecake.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. But you just blew your surprise element there. Sorry, bud.
Well, you never know when I'm gonna bring it though. But I can do other stuff as well.
Well, the first year we had Bacon Fest, I was so excited for this event that I said I am going to learn how to make my own bacon. There's this guy we camp with, Tumbleweed. He's like the oldest person we camp with. He's in his 70s, and Tumbleweed always brought his homemade bacon to hangs. And I'm like, I'm gonna make my own bacon, and I'm gonna like show it to Tumbleweed, have him taste it, and be like, yeah, that's good too. So have you guys ever made bacon?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's I want to say that I have because I helped process.
I mean, it's just the underbelly of a pig, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but like I did this like 2-week brining process in my fridge, and then I had to borrow my friend's smoker, so I had to like babysit his kids in order to do like the 5-hour smoke. Like it was such a big long process. It wasn't this like hour or two and you're done. So I get to the first Bacon Fest and I'm like, Tumbleweed, you got to try my homemade bacon. Tell me how it is next to yours. And he's like, what do you mean mine? And I'm like, your homemade bacon that you bring all the time. And he's like, that's not my homemade bacon, that's Newski's. I go down to the store and I go get Newski's bacon. What? I just spent 3 freaking weeks making bacon, and you go to the store and get Newski's? Mine was really good, though, I will say.
That's funny.
So we have for our Hang Con, we have a bacon themed tradition. We do on Sunday night, which is kind of like our landing gear is out, and we've fulfilled all of our obligations, and I discover I'm not going to be divorced after entire Hang Con is put on my credit card. We do bacon wrap dates that we have soaked in Sugarland's maple bacon moonshine.
Oh, I've never had that.
So it's pretty epic. And
so you're saying I need to get to Hang Con is what you're saying.
I think that
you definitely need to make it down to Hang Con.
I agree. You should have a big winter caravan come down to the Hang Con for us. I mean, it's a little bit warmer down here than it is up there in January, so it might not be a hard sell.
Yeah, you gotta make it down here to Hang Con, and we gotta make it up there to Bacon Fest.
Hang Con is on my bucket list.
So we also kind of stole this from our Palmetto State friends. They do a midnight bacon. Now, midnight bacon may be 10 p.m. I'm sure it's midnight.
It could
somewhere.
be 8 p.m.
It could be 8
midnight
p.m.
Bacon is whenever you feel like making bacon.
So we will just go and randomly cook, 5-10 pounds of bacon and just shell out. But I mean, we also fry up stuff like fried bologna sandwiches, and there's ham roll, and my personal favorite, and Paul really loves this too, scrapple.
Have you ever had scrapple? Do you know what scrapple is?
I make a Scrabble mix, and someone was trying to explain Scrapple to me because my Scrabble mix is like Chex Mix, and that's not what Scrapple is.
Scrapple is anything and everything out of usually the hog and probably other various animals that is probably not fit for consumption, or at least
it's
sell.
Delicious.
So I mean, it's just yeah.
It's delicious. Don't listen to him. It is delicious if it's lightly fried. So the outside gets nice and crispy. The inside is kind of like a soft consistency.
It's disgusting.
It's delicious. A little bit of mustard, a little bit of white bread. Oh,
yeah. Him and
kiss.
AJ and Jason Flowers from Walhalla Hammocks, they both love it. So anytime we're all together, whether it's at Hang Con or at Fall Sprawl or Spring Swing or wherever, Jason usually makes it. And AJ, it don't matter. He'll be clear across the park, laying in his hammock. He'll smell it and go running.
I will get out of my hammock.
It's the most disgusting stuff ever.
No, we have actually found that cooking your bacon at home is just way too dang easy and efficient. And I have totally been turned on to cooking my bacon in the oven now.
My wife does that. She'll bake it in the oven. Me, I take it all out to the flat top. I got one of the big Blackstone flat tops. So
I noticed that your breakfast on Sunday is usually Sam's bacon. Now, I'll say when we go camping,
Canadian bacon counts. I will argue with you. I'm closer to Canada. I will argue this.
So
it has the name in it, right?
Camping, one of the things that our kids absolutely love. So we'll cook bacon, like cook it nice and crispy, and then we will put a line of pancake mix, put the bacon on it, pour pancake mix on top of it. So we make like this pancake bar that's got bacon in the middle of it. So that's what they usually go for when we're out camping.
Bacon.
That sounds delicious too.
Good any time of the day, any time of the week, and goes with anything.
I agree.
Now, with Bacon Fest, that is actually coming up. Let me see here. May 19th to the 21st of this month, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So here in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I tell people you can always remember Bacon Fest because I think of Homer Simpson when he's like bacon and he's like, So it's the middle of May between Mother's Day and Memorial Day. That's always Bacon Fest weekend.
Okay. Right. So is it do you normally have it at the same place each year? Or do
Nope,
you
it
change?
rotates. That's
Okay.
another weird, cool thing is because I want to go to all the state parks.
Gotcha.
It rotates. So last
Okay.
year we were down at Nelson Dewey State Park, and we actually took a ferry across to Iowa. So I was like, "Hey, you Iowa people, you want to come to BACONFEST? Cool, come." This year we're up in the tip of Door County, so we're pretty Wisconsin based. But if you're in the UP and Michigan, it'll work. And then next year, I'm hoping to get back over by the Mississippi. So if you're in Minnesota, then next year might be good for you.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually looking at it on Google Maps, seeing the park and everything, where it is, and I noticed that the which trail is that? The oh, I'm forgetting what trail it is now. You got one.
The
of
one in
major
Wisconsin?
trails. Yeah.
The Ice Age Trail.
Ice Age, yes, is in that one of the terminus is there in that same park.
That's why, in part, why we're going. The eastern terminus of the Ice Age Trail is there. It's a 1,200 mile trek. It's all within Wisconsin. But what's really cool is that it's not completed yet. I mean, there's several parts of it that are on private land.
Okay.
So throughout the generations, it will continue to grow, and they want to get it all connected. And It's awesome. The Ice Age Trail Alliance hosts weekends when you can go and work and build on the trail.
Right.
So I've done that a couple times, and it's fascinating to learn how to build trail.
Okay.
Highly recommend if there's ever a trail around you and they have any sort of maintenance work weekends when you can work, do it. You feel so connected.
We have the Florida Trail down here, and I know each of the chapters, they have different chapters throughout the whole trail. They'll go out and do the maintenance, and they're doing the same thing, trying to get all of it connected to where there's no roadwalks and stuff like that. So that's pretty neat. So
yeah, we just had a lady, I think it was now 2 winters ago. Her name was Emily Ford, and she did the entire Ice Age Trail solo with her dog during the winter. And she's the second person ever to do it in winter, the first female of color, the first gay female. Like, she's a lesbian, that's the word. And I got to hear her speak up at the Winter Camping Symposium. She actually went and did a winter trek over Boundary Waters. She's just freaking cool, and she's so laid back. Emily Ford.
I think I saw her on Facebook or something. Was there something on her about doing all that was on Facebook? Oh
yeah.
Okay. And this was within the past couple of years, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember seeing her on there. So have you done any long distance hiking yourself?
No, Jessica took me out for backpacking, and I hated it.
Really?
I found it so boring. And I felt like there was something I did wrong. And it wasn't until I heard another speaker who they said they found hiking boring. And I find day hikes amazing. But
really,
I did not. I can do boating and paddling. I wanted to get into biking, but I don't know, hiking, I just
I'm the opposite with it. I mean, I will go out on days, for day hikes and stuff like that. But to me, the day hikes they feel almost pointless because you go out and you come back. I'm the type that if I go out, I like to stay out. And so I'm more of the long distance hiker type deal. So
I like to walk out and take a nap. That's about it. I'm more of a day drinker than a day hiker, so
I am gonna get AJ out on a hike though one of these weekends.
I'll tell you, I've hiked the entire width of the AT.
The entire width.
And the CDT. The entire width.
This is what I got to put up with every week.
Yeah, that clapping that you hear is us clapping for that accomplishment.
Yeah, that's my cross to bear. So,
Love you, dude.
going on with the different types of camping and stuff that you do, what if like you could go on a trip? What style of camping are you going out for?
Oh man, a big thing would be, am I bringing my cats or not? Because I have not figured out how to do any sort of lightweight, minimalistic with cats. For people who do, I'm in awe. I am not. I end up having way more gear with the cats. So if I can leave the cats alone, I think my priority is still going to state parks. And honestly, I'm constantly scoping out places where we can hang because it's so hard to find areas like group campsites that have trees. This year, BACONFEST is a hammock stand. Last year had to be a hammock stand because there just weren't trees. And that's hard. That's really hard. But I think my focus is state park camping because I want to knock all these places off my list. And then there's so many county parks. And then I can get into the national forest that we have here. There's so much to explore in the state. And I mean, I've really only been going at this for like the last 8 years. I'm so still new to everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm more of that. You might be one of our only guests that are more on my side than Paul's. Like, I'm not a hiker. I'd much rather, go and, enjoy the state parks. Like, I'll go and do a day hike if it's less than 4 miles.
See, I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the state parks and stuff like that. I just want to hike from one to the other.
I just don't like to sweat. I mean,
see, that don't bother me. I get out and I enjoy hearing the birds. I enjoy just stopping at times and just hearing the wind blow through the trees and not hearing, the sound of wheels on the pavement or somebody, coming through my neighborhood and revving their engine or, just I enjoy the peacefulness of the sounds of nature.
I enjoy the sounds of nature too. Although when I go hiking, the sounds of nature that I'm hearing is I am the only sound in nature that I'm hearing.
I love Phoenix that you're like, I don't like to sweat and you live in Florida.
Yeah, I know.
I did not choose the Florida life. The Florida life chose me, kicking and screaming. So my wife is originally from Florida, so that's why I'm in Florida. So I originally grew up in Virginia.
If people haven't noticed so far, just listening to the podcast, Phoenix is not quite right anyhow. So.
Oh. Do I need to separate you two?
Why are we friends? Why are we friends?
So let's.
But yeah, I think I agree. There's so many things to see and explore, like car camping in a state forest, and like you said, like one of our favorite places to camp around here, and the cheapest place to camp around here is a county park. In fact, we are actually going camping this weekend to a county park down in Hillsborough County. Is it Hillsborough? I don't know what county. It's one of those counties around Tampa. What is that, Port Richey? Yeah. So it's called J. Starkey Wilderness Preserve, and it's like $12 a night. The reservation system is kind of wonky, so I mean, there's that. But they've gone up a little bit. I mean, it's still not much. It's $15 a night, but still ain't bad. I mean, you spend more than that when you go to a KOA or somewhere like that. Let's not talk about KOAs. Everybody loves the KOAs. So, but the facilities are really nice as well. So yeah,
state parks in Wisconsin in the winter tend to have so fewer people, and the people who are there, they're all locked up in their RVs and stuff. So it's so beautiful how crisp and quiet it can be in state parks. And I think that's why we call ourselves like weird misfits, because I mean, we love the winter camping. We love the no bugs. We love the quiet. Winter camping, probably like a 40-degree high and a 20-degree low is my ideal. Freaking love it.
That would be nice. Would be nice.
We hit that usually on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and then it's summer again.
Very brief.
So, talking about places that you have been to, and your goal to camp at the state parks and up where you're at. What is the top 3 places that you would want to go to anywhere in the world? Or what is maybe like some of your favorite places that you have been that just kind of left a really impression on you?
Well, I saw a post on Hammock Forums that in Germany they did this hang, and I don't even know like the word for it, but there was this large covered fire pit, and then they brought in what looked like scaffolding for like a rock concert, and they all hung off that scaffolding. It was just so monstrous and huge and awesome. And I'm like, I want to go and learn German and go there just to attend this hang, because that just looks epic and awesome. And that one photo has always stuck in my head. So if I could go anywhere and learn the language, or like have the earbuds where it would translate, like I don't even know if they have them every year or if it was a one time, but I want to go. I want to go there. That would be awesome. HangCon's on my bucket list. And at the end of the month, I'm heading down to Ohio to go to a Trailheads hang. My friend Orange Tarp Eli is in Ohio, and he's like, "You gotta come, you gotta come, you gotta come." So I'm heading down there to see Trailheads and meet some new people.
I hear really great things about Trailheads, and John, who runs that hang and owns Trailheads, him and his wife are wonderful, wonderful people.
Yeah.
And I always hear about crazy stories that happen from Trailheads. So that's definitely on my bucket list to head up that way as well.
I do have two other, I don't know, dreams, I guess, but one is coming to fruition. I have wanted to put together a mini Wisconsin hang, a Minnesota, Wisconsin hang. And I'm going to keep reaching out to those Minnesota companies, those Superior Gear, Enlightened Equipment, because I think it would be fun to do like 1 year it's in Minnesota, the next it's in Wisconsin. And then like when it's in Minnesota, they make us like Juicy Lucy hamburgers, and then they serve us hot dish, which we call casserole. So when we're in Wisconsin, we'll make them like a fish fry and then have casserole. Like, I think that would be a fun, plus it's just a great name, Mini Wisconsin. Like I would love to see that happen. And I haven't had anyone reach out to me and be like, okay, I'll be the Minnesota running partner. Like, let's go. But that would be a dream of mine. And then the other one, I'm actually going to make an announcement on your podcast, guys.
Oh, cool.
All right.
There has been a hang in Lower Michigan, sponsored by Underground Quilts there. Paul and Missy held it for years, and then it kind of died with COVID. And another guy, Diesel, he's like, is it coming back? Is it coming back? Is it coming back? And so Diesel and I, and now Beth, have formed a board of directors, and Underground Quilts is still going to be the sponsor. And we're changing the name. Instead of like, I can never remember it. It was like Fall Fest and Chili Hang. Anyway, we've taken the name Michigan, which kind of has chili in the middle of it. So we've named it Michiligan. 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 You guys are hearing it first. Hasn't even posted on Hammock Forums. Michiligan.
So
Michiligan is happening.
When is this one going to happen?
That's the middle of October. So I think it's like October 11th through 5th. It's that Thursday. We're adding Thursday on. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The raffle's coming back. The big raffle. I think we max out in that space at like 110 people. So people are going to be there. It hasn't happened in years. It's going to be big. it's going to be so much fun to bring it back. Underground Quilt is still sponsoring it, so it's going to be awesome.
Make sure you send me all the information so I can get it on our HangCon website for the.
Oh yeah, you betcha.
On the other Hangs page.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back on after you guys run the event and give us a trip report.
Yeah, Michiligan.
Actually, you said it's in October, so say sometime in August, September, beginning of September, or whatever. We can have you back on the podcast, and if you can get the other people on, the other organizers as well, we can have just a big group podcast.
A big Michiligan Stew Fest, yeah.
Depending on what the signal is, we will actually, if I'm looking at my calendar, Paul and I will be at Fall Sprawl that weekend. So maybe we could do an Inner Hang podcast.
Mm.
Yeah, we'll figure something out with it.
That sounds pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So, getting back to the BACONFEST, I got another question. It's kind of like a multi-part question. Tell us about some of the goings on there. Actually, just some of the details about BACONFEST, as far as like, what the weather's normally like during the hang, how many people you normally, have. I know you said that, about 25 is your max. But what's the average that you normally have? Is there a cost for the event? The types of activities, just basic information, that, people would like to, that they should know before, coming to the event, what they can expect.
Yeah, so you want to register on the BACONFEST website, which I think you guys will link to when you post this, right?
Yeah, any links that you have, which I know you sent me a lot of them when you signed up, to be a guest and all that, when you filled out the guest form. So those links will be in the show notes for everybody.
Yeah, but if you Google BACONFEST Camping Weekend, it'll take you to the RSVP registration form, and that will walk you through, what group meal do you want to sign up with. There's a $23 cost that covers the reservation site. I get wood delivered, the Friday night meal, and then the prizes. So for $23, I try and keep it very low cost and very affordable. So Friday night is very much just chill, set up your gear, meet people, come eat food, sit by the campfire and enjoy. And Saturday turns into we get up and eat. And this is where I delegate. So in the sign up, if there's people who want to hike or bike, or if they want to go and do some sort of local activity in town, or they want to learn some sort of outdoor skill, they indicate that on the sign up sheet. And then I'll have people say, well, I can put together a hike. And I'll be like, great, Darren's putting together a hike this year. So he'll announce like where we're going to go. This year, we're going to go see the Eastern Terminus and take a group picture, because it's the Ice Age Trail and it's the Eastern Terminus right there. So we're going to do that. The afternoon, we come back for BLTs. The afternoon is always open. So I usually crash and take a nap because I've done a lot of work, and I got to go recuperate.
Napping at a hammock hang it should be mandatory anyhow at some point.
Yep. And so that's where other people are like, there might be people who really want to finish the segment, the sturgeon-based segment of the Ice Age Trail. So they might go back out. This particular park, the Potawatomi State Park, where we're going to be, is known for biking. People might head back into Sturgeon Bay and maybe they'll do some shopping. But people kind of come back around like 4 p.m.-ish because they need to start working on their dishes for Bacon Bite Night. And so when people get done with their dish, they'll yell out like, hey, this is ready to be done. And then we kind of just start eating and more eating and then voting, and then we give out the prizes, and then we sit around and enjoy a great campfire. We finish it up with our Sunday breakfast, and we pack up and go.
Okay.
It's one thing that I love about hangs just in general. It's the only kind of event that you could go to where laziness is encouraged. and welcomed, along with sloth and gluttony.
There's a lot that I organize with Bacon Fest, but I find when I've got people on teams with meals, they're communicating before the hang. So if there's somebody who's new, they don't know anybody, they're automatically making some of those connections. And that means they're not going to back out. They're not going to feel that anxiety as they pack up the car. Like, I don't know where I'm going and who I'm going to. No, you already know a couple people. And you're going to come because you're responsible for bringing the tomatoes and the bread and the lettuce for BLTs. And it's not going to be a lunch without you and that stuff. So that's part of why I do it that way. But then we end up so many hangs I went to, there's like so much food, and people would complain because they were going home with so much food because no one ate their food. Well, man, I got this like narrowed down where I'm like, you need a half a medium tomato per person for the BLTs. We, on average, eat 2.5 pancakes and 2.5 pieces of Canadian bacon ends. Like, we've got this like worked out. So there's not a lot of waste. And that was also kind of important for me in having a hang. I want everybody to be fed, but I don't want to have people going home with tons of food and like,
That's how we are. We try and judge because we don't want to, we want to make sure that we have enough food for everybody and nobody, gets left out or is, walks away hungry. But at the same time, we don't want a whole lot of leftover food. And
does that food be expensive?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I really encourage people then to bring the fruits with breakfast, and we have the veggies. Like, I never get enough fruits and vegetables at a hang. People are like, what are those things? I'm like, we have them. We actually have them.
So do y'all have a raffle at the Bacon Fest?
No, and we never will.
Okay.
I love going shopping throughout the year, and I find little things to put in like the winner's bags.
Right.
And then I'll have door prizes. Like I got a hella deal at a liquidation store, and everybody is getting the same exact thing this year. I can't tell you what it is. But I have one and I love it, and people who borrow it love it. And I'm so excited to be able to give everybody who comes one of these things gift wrapped. I am, it's things like that that just get me really excited, and why I love being able to put on hammock hangs. Like, yeah, they're work, but it's so much fun for me.
It is.
And if it wasn't fun for me, then I wouldn't do it. But when I hear people practicing recipes already and they're like, I'm going to win this year. I'm like, I'm going to defend my title. Like, that Chris cracks me up. I freaking love it.
It is a good feeling when people start sending you messages talking about it and everything. I know, God, I don't know how many messages I've already got, for next year's HangCon, people asking questions and wanting to show up and come and everything else. I mean, I start getting messages, the week after HangCon is done for the next year.
And that's something like I know we've talked about occasionally, like both me and Paul are inherently introverted people. And however we store and we bank all of our extroverted juices to splurge on one particular weekend. And we have a blast doing it. We are utterly exhausted by the end of it, but it's totally worth it. It is totally worth it.
One of my favorite stories from Bacon Fest was on the 5th anniversary. I did something special, and how it turned out, it still cracks me up. I hand out certificates to the winners. So we had our best savory bite winner standing up there holding the certificate, best sweet bite, and honorable mention. And, it just says the winner, and I sign it. And I told them to turn the certificates over and open it up from the backside because there was a special something. And we had a winner that was in his 70s, a winner that was in his teens, and then we had a middle-aged guy. And the older guy said, who's this Kevin Bacon guy that signed the certificate? Is he your boyfriend? He had no idea who Kevin Bacon was. I sent these certificates to the actor, Kevin Bacon, who freaking signed them with compared signatures. Serious? They're all just a little different. And an 18-year-old like, who's Kevin Bacon? The middle age was like, holy crap, you got Kevin Bacon's signature! So the rest of the night, we spent like showing all the movies that Kevin Bacon had been in feel like the old guy and the younger guy. He's like, oh, I've seen that, and I've seen Apollo 13, and I've seen that. Oh, he was in that. Oh, that's the Footloose guy. Like their mind was blown who Kevin Bacon was, and that was just, oh my, I can't believe he signed him. Like he
That's
really
awesome.
signed him. Oh, that was so awesome.
That's awesome. Oh, that would be neat.
Yeah, you never know what I'm gonna pull out for Bacon Fest. It's my baby. I love it, and as long as people still want to come and do it,
Right.
then I'll still do it.
How many people are you expecting this year?
I've got 17 right now. I know I've got 4 maybes, and we'll see from this podcast if I fill up at 25.
Okay. All right.
It's always important, as Paul said, to have a 5-year plan. Although don't follow Paul's 5-year plan, because next year you'll have 125.
I can't wait to get to where it's like, hey, you better sign up or you don't get to come. Like that, I think would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So what are some of the favorite one bite winners that you have experienced over your time at Bacon Fest?
Oh man, there are so many good ones. The ones that stick out in my mind are the bad ones, though, that I really don't want to talk about. There was a winner once. I remember her fork got caught in it because it was like this toffee, this bacon coffee toffee, and it was hard and it broke her fork. But dang, that was tasty. And this guy last year, he didn't win, but he had these nacho chips, but under the nacho chips, he had kettle chips. And when you were done taking the bites with the bacon and the cheese, then you had this different crunch with the kettle chip. And I was like, oh, that is so amazing. In the first couple of years, Kanuski always made bacon but baked apples. Oh, those were so tasty. And I mean, I think my favorite has to be my homemade bacon, though. I mean, that's got to be.
Wait, you didn't get it from the store?
I did not get it from Newski's.
All right, so so I have some of Paul's favorite oddball questions here. This is kind of what other than bacon, if you were just going out camping on your own, what is your favorite camp meal that you go to?
Well, my friend Jessica and I, we get into like a routine and a rhythm. Because when we set up at camp, we want a real easy meal on Friday. So it's usually a no-cook kind of a meal. And the first time she took me out camping in Door County, we went out to this restaurant and I got a spinach salad that had grilled chicken with goat cheese. I never had goat cheese before. It had fresh berries, and then I think that had walnuts in, and then it had like a vinaigrette. Dude, that is my go-to salad now. I freaking love that. So that is quite often like our first night that we'll do. It's just so delicious and it's filling, and I feel healthy, and you can just throw in kind of whatever berry, whatever nut. Love it. But then Jessica introduced me to these stuffed sweet potatoes. So I take the sweet potato, put it in the microwave. And so I've got the cooked sweet potato with me when I go camping. And then I've already cooked the chicken, and I throw spinach in there, some peppers, some garlic. And when I get to camp, then we only have to heat up just a little bit. And you just kind of fill everything into the sweet potato boat. And of course, there's goat cheese. Maybe it's the goat cheese that I just freaking love.
Maybe you just really like goat cheese.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, those I look forward to just as much as those BLTs at Bacon Fest.
Now I got a hankering for some goat cheese.
I know, right?
Aldi, man.
If you were to pick your perfect concert lineup, who would be your 2 opening acts and who would be your headline act?
Oh, man. I grew up in a small town, so I never got to go to concerts. And I was introduced really to concerts in college. And I was lucky enough to go to Central Michigan University when this band hit it big. And they got signed by RCA, and their top hit in summer of 1997 was The Freshman by the Verve Pipe. And so now, because they're a Michigan-based band, I go whenever I can to go see the Verve Pipe. I've even had them play in my house. I freaking love this band. So, I mean, I would probably have like the lead singer, Brian, do his solo stuff before like the whole band came in, because I've now met these people and they're awesome people. And I'm just in awe of them as people, and I'm in awe of them as performers, and I know all the songs. So it's just the Verve Pipe for me.
Awesome. And I totally know who you're talking about. So yeah. So the Central Michigan University, what's the mascot for your college?
Chippewas.
Okay. So
CMU Chippewas.
I have a friend that also went to Central Michigan University. Him and his wife both went there, and so I know the college and the band.
Fire up, Chips.
Yeah. So my next question is, what is your favorite holiday movie? And if it's not Christmas Vacation, who hurt you?
I think what you need to understand about my childhood is being a pastor's daughter, that whenever we would see movies, my dad was the guy, even in like a movie theater, whenever there was any sort of word that resembled a cuss word, like even it was like geez or he's being a dick or anything, my dad would yell out 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it was so freaking embarrassing. He would do this at the house. I mean, there were so many TV shows and things I cannot watch. I cannot watch Night Court. I cannot watch Golden Girls. And there's so many things I just was so sheltered from. So I didn't see so many Christmas movies, because we would only watch anything that, that was like biblical from the Bible until I was like later in life. And now I'm like, some of them don't age well. And I'm like, oh, what? Why would you want me to watch this John Hughes movie? This is horrible. But I don't know if I have a favorite Christmas. My all-time favorite movie is The Princess Bride. I think I got to see that one right at the right age. And I mean, it's just inconceivable. I mean, I just love all the quotes from The Princess. You guys aren't looking like you're familiar with The Princess Bride.
I know The Princess Bride. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did
that, and
funny story about that. So I did a wedding here not too long ago, and I began the wedding with marriage, and so I did like this whole monologue, and so a friend of ours was sitting in the audience, and she shoulders my wife, and she's like, is he having a stroke? Is he okay? Like, he's messing his words. Like, we need to check on him. So she did not get the reference, and so she thought that there was something wrong with the way that I was talking.
As you wish.
Yeah. So yeah, I completely know. Yeah. Solid choice of movie, by the way. Okay, I will definitely take that. And my last question is, if you could have a superpower, what superpower would you have?
Oh man. I kind of want to freeze time, because then I could just sleep as long as I want and then just pick back up with life. I could be so awesome. Productive if I could freeze time and then like have my entire car packed for camping, or freeze time, then I can like drive to the campsite and be all set up. And I mean, imagine, you'd have all this time to do whatever you wanted to. Like I want to freeze time.
Just think, Paul, if I had that ability, I might be able to show up on time.
You'd still mess it up somehow. He is never on time for anything. I mean, literally, like, when we go to do one of our the podcast shows, like even tonight at 8:00, I was sending him a text. Okay, AJ, are you going to be ready? Make sure, go ahead and get your 2 pots of coffee done. Get this done. Get this done. Just get it out of the way. I got to send him reminders every episode that we record.
So we've talked about, BACONFEST and also your wonderful experience with the hammock community. And, as we all were at one point someone new to the whole hammock camping scene, if you were talking to someone, what would be something that you would tell them that is a great reason for them to just try out the hammock community? And what do you find different about the hammock community that you might not necessarily find in other types of adventure communities?
That was a lot. That was a big, long question, man.
If you were new, what would you tell someone new about the hammock community that they should really try?
We're all misfits. I talk to Franklin, one of the guys I hang with all the time, and we're all just these weirdo misfits, and we've all just come together to be, on the island of misfit toys. Like and what I love about hammocking too is there's no right way, wrong way. I started out hammock camping, and this one guy had been camping for like 5 or 6 years, and I couldn't remember all my knots and hitches, and I was overwhelmed with Whoopi Beckett. I didn't know. And he goes, I don't know what I'm doing either, and I've been doing this for 6 years, and that just made me feel way better. And seriously, when I tie off my tarp, I do this like on purpose. I've got a little Dutch clip on one end, and on the other end, I don't use any knots or hitch. I just wrap it around the tree, like till the rope is gone. And I'll have newbies like ask me, how do I do this? I'm like, just tie it around the tree, It works. It stays. I do a little bow on the bottom, and it reminds me that this isn't rocket science. You can make this easy and fun and simple, and you can focus on why do you want to be there? For me, I like to go new places. I want to meet new people. I want to try different recipes. I want to try out my gear. I want to be able to test myself because I'm still so new. Like, how hot do I like it? How cold do I like it? What about my gear? I'm still tuning in my gear. So, and it's like a never ending fidget process with gear. So I love the hammock community that I have fallen in with here in Wisconsin because they've been so open to hangs, and I have learned so much from hangs. And it might be, yep, they let me try their bridge, and I don't like a bridge. You might try the hammock, and I liked it, but I don't want to pay that price. And I still love my gathered end. I love the resource that all these misfits come up. And I tell this joke when I present on hammocks. How can you tell if someone is a hammock camper?
Oh no. How's that?
Oh, they'll tell you. we can't shut up about hammocks. We can't. True. We all will talk nonstop. Because we freaking love. Now, my friend Jessica likes hammocks, doesn't love them. She just hasn't found the right hammock yet. That's what I keep saying.
Has to be. Well, that's one reason why AJ and I started the podcast, because we love talking about hammocks so much.
Yeah.
That is funny. All right. So I've got one more question before we wrap it up. And it's a question that I've asked pretty much everybody at the end of every episode. And that is, what are your top 3 tips that you would give somebody new just starting into hammock camping?
It's going to be more than 3, but this is when I present on hammock camping, this is what I tell people. Because my background is in higher education, and so it depends on your learning style. Okay. But hammockforums.net, I think, is one of the best resources out there for information. Don't go to Facebook groups. Go to hammockforums.net. You can tell the people who know what they're talking about. Watch Shug's YouTube videos. He's entertaining. He's this vaudevillian clown, and he knows his stuff. Go pick up Derek Hansen's The Ultimate Hang 2 book. It is such a wealth of resource. You can get as nerdy as you want to about like angles and dynamics of things, but he also, does the drawings and makes it fun. As I said, attend a hang. there's nothing better than, I mean, one of the first big hangs I went to, I forgot my hammock. Like who does that? I do. But I had friends and they had extra stuff. So we were able to put together, I actually tried a hammock that night. Like I probably would have never tried a 90-degree
Right.
hammock if it wasn't for me forgetting my own hammock. And then I think the last thing, just I had a yoga teacher that said what happens on your mat stays on your mat. And so I kind of think that, what happens with your hammock stays in your hammock. Like if I want to, tie up my tarp by just wrapping the string around the tree and tying a bow, do it. You don't have to know all these knots and hitches. Do what works for you.
That's it. All right. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Really appreciate you coming on and being a guest. I do want to reach back out to you after BACONFEST, find out how that went. So you definitely have to message me and let me know how all that went. I'm sure you have videos because I've seen that you put most of the videos up on your YouTube channel. And then, like I was saying earlier, I definitely want to have you and the other organizers on before that next hang.
Yeah.
And we'll do an episode for that as well. But I will put all of the links that you gave me in the show notes so people can, they can go to your Instagram, they can go to your YouTube and see some of the videos, of the past hangs and stuff like that. I have the link to BACONFEST so that if somebody's in the area and they want to come, they can go and they can sign up. And hopefully one of these years you can make it down here to HangCon, and one of the years AJ and I can make it up to BACONFEST and hang out with y'all up there.
Do it.
Again, I appreciate you coming on and being a guest on the show. And until next week, happy hanging, everyone.